Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's Career Chat. I'm Krista Harmon, and I am one of the career readiness consultants at the Kent Intermediate School District. And today I welcome Akia Pierce. She is a regional team lead in the talent acquisition department at Mercy Health. Welcome, Akia.
Hi, thanks so much for having me, Krista. Hello, everyone.
So in our next half hour, Akia, I'd like to obviously make sure the kids know what your job's all about, but help them understand that career paths can be so different for everybody. And sometimes we don't know when we're teenagers where we're going to end up because jobs change all the time. Some of the jobs they're going to have don't even exist at this point. So taking us back to high school age, a lot of them are 14, 15, 16, somewhere in there. Tell us what you were thinking you'd like to be when you grow up, and how did that early career path go for you?
Oh, yeah. So essentially, my title is a team lead of talent acquisition. Talent acquisition is just really a fancy word for recruitment, if you will. And so I recruit for a lot of different modalities in the healthcare field, which include your surgical techs and your medical technologists, like any of your non-nursing clinical positions are the ones that I recruit for. And so essentially, when I was 14, I didn't even know that I would be in this space. I actually wanted to be a nurse, is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go back to school to be a nurse. And so over time, I made some different choices that I'm more than happy to share with you all. It's just kind of like my testimony. And I ended up taking a different career path that still allowed me to be in healthcare, but just in a different way.
Yeah, so nursing is what you were thinking as a young person. Obviously, you liked people, you wanted to serve them. Did you have role models that were nurses in your life? How did you even know that was a potential job for you?
No, to be honest, I didn't have role models. I think that it was just something that actually, let me backtrack. So essentially, I didn't have role models. What intrigued me about nursing is because I actually got pregnant at the age of 14. So I was pregnant really early and just went through that experience. And the care that I received from having my own child is what prompted me to want to go into nursing. So I essentially wanted to be like a OB nurse originally.
Yeah, I've definitely heard that from other young people, with their athlete, maybe they get hurt, so they work with a physical therapist, or maybe their grandmother was dying of cancer, so they meet someone in oncology, that those kind of experiences can be very impactful in our career choices. So I want to encourage young people to be thinking about that. What are some things that you've already noticed that you like? Let that be a clue to you.
Yeah.
So, so you had baby, did you then start school to continue being a nurse, or how did that kind of then transition to where you are?
I couldn't at the time. I was still in high school, still in high school. I was actually a sophomore. So I had to work on getting through high school first. And so I worked on moving through high school. I completed my high school education. It was really hard because at the time it's like you still have to figure out a way to make money. And so of course I lived with my mother, but it was still my responsibility. I had responsibility. So I actually went to school full time. I would go to work after. I graduated. And so once I graduated is when I started to pursue my nursing degree. So I actually enrolled into our local Muskegon Community College here in Muskegon and started to go to school at that time for nursing. The thing is, I didn't stop having kids, you guys. And so, the more you have kids, the more that, you have to provide for financially. And so with my husband's support, I did go on and, get married. My husband and I have been together for 21 years. Married for 16, but with his support, I actually went back, and it was just too much because I had to work a full-time job. So working full-time and doing full-time nursing clinicals just was going to be too much. So essentially, I went back to school online, and I went back to school to be a to get a healthcare administration degree, which actually allowed me to become an HR assistant. So I started out here at Mercy first as a patient care assistant. And then as I began to kind of pursue my education and finalize my degrees, I got a associate's degree in healthcare administration, and I got hired into human resources. So from there, I actually got a bachelor's degree in healthcare administration. And so that began to prepare me to still stay in the healthcare field, which was my love. And instead of being at the bedside, I was actually then able to be on the administration side of actually recruiting and putting those nurses and those different healthcare officials or healthcare colleagues at the bedside. So now I was able to impact the hiring, and who we brought into our organization.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's so inspiring. I mean, it just says so much about your person to continue to persevere and work so hard. I mean, to be, like you say, a mom working and then going to school and even just getting a job as a patient care assistant. You got your foot in the door because you knew you were heading in that direction. What do you remember liking about patient care assistant for young people who might put their foot into that arena for their first job?
Well, I would say it's more than just money. You really have to have the passion for people. Those types of jobs are people jobs, and so you have to have that compassion and that grace to want to operate in the area of healing, and helping those individuals. Because even as a PCA, you're assisting the nurse, but we have really sick people. And so it's more than just coming to work and earning your dollar and going home. You really have to have that compassion and really have to have that urge to just want to help people.
I know when I'm in the hospital, I want someone who wants to be there, someone who wants to
Absolutely.
serve me, right? So yeah, that's a really good point. There's
Yeah,
nothing worse than having someone in the wrong job, because then we all feel it, and that's not
absolutely.
a good thing. So you're a patient care assistant, you're going through school, that you get your associates in healthcare administration. How did you then make that transition to your first kind of like paid job in that HR world? Did you see it online? Did you hear about it?
Yeah,
From a
so I was an
colleague?
internal colleague and I saw it online. I was just actually searching for jobs. Not even, we were just looking to see what was on an internal website and it came up. And so I applied to it. And the recruiter that actually hired me as the patient care assistant was hiring for that position and saw my name and gave me a chance, because essentially the only thing that made me able to even apply for that was the fact that even apply for it was the fact that I knew somebody, and the fact that I had an associate's degree.
Yeah, I've really been stressing that beautiful fact of networking, and that it is sometimes who we know that can open up a door or make a connection or let us know about something that even exists. So I love that that was part of that story for you, that you knew someone who could took a chance on you and let you open up that door. I love it. So you obviously were liking that job at some level, and you decided to continue your education to get a bachelor's in that. So help young people understand what a healthcare administration degree is and what kind of opportunities that opens, because I think that's one that young people may not even know about.
Well, the thing about the healthcare administration degree is it really covers a lot of modalities. It's more so any of your like lead admin work, any of your business office coordinator work, things like that. I like the degree. At this time, it's really saturated though. So to be honest, I wouldn't say go and pursue a healthcare administration degree unless you knew what you were, aiming towards, if you knew what that long-term goal was going to be. And also I would say if you're already in a hospital, like there's opportunity there. But the thing that you see oftentimes with our roles is because healthcare has changed so much, there's in these areas, they really want people to have experience. So even though I have it and, you can go and get it, it's really saturated. So I would caution, to be honest, I would caution going back to get it. I think when I went back to get it, we're talking early 2000s at that time, that degree. But essentially any of your admin roles that would require an associate's degree of some sort, that are outside of like your clinical roles, you could go to school for that. But again, you just want to have an end goal and an idea, of what it is you want to do.
Yeah, so many of the students who are on our Zoom today, have an idea that somewhere in business is where they belong. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on today is to help them understand that business roles exist behind the scenes at a hospital, that it's not just clinical like nurses and physical therapists and techs that way, but that there's a whole bunch of people who make a hospital run. And I love that you started kind of sharing that already. You said that in hospital, there's lots of opportunity out there. Tell us some examples of that so young people might maybe a little inside scoop here. What are the kind of opportunities out there?
So it depends on what you're looking for, but from an administrative standpoint, there are like different, like I say, business office coordinator jobs. So we have a lot of different coordinator jobs that are kind of tied into like some of our clinical sites and even some of our like surgery sites and things like that, as far as like just the whole admin side. There's always someone that we need to have to do admin. But then from like a clinical standpoint, now we have like our medical assistant apprenticeship program. We are working on creating a surgical technologist apprenticeship program. Hopefully that'll be up and running in the fall. So more info to come there. We have a sterile processing trainee program. So I think that it just depends on what it is that you're kind of looking to get into from the healthcare. And I always say, do your research, go to different career websites, kind of see and get an idea of what's out there, and if those organizations have like a careers website where you can email them, email and ask, hey, I noticed notice that you have this job description and it's something that I'm interested in, maybe I want to go into it in the near future. Is there some opportunity for you to share some details with me? So things like that.
Yeah, that's great. And coordinator came up the other day on one of our career chats. And I think that's something I got into it early, but I didn't know it existed when I was in high school. And I loved putting different pieces together. Like you said, a scheduling coordinator, making sure everybody's where they need to be. Helps young people understand a little more about talent acquisition, because that's just a really, every company has that role. And so it's just one of those areas of business that, again, young people don't hear about human resources or talent acquisition. Help them understand what that is and what some of your daily tasks are.
Yeah, so talent acquisition, I think the previous role was employee, I can't remember what it was. It was employee, I can't think of what it was, but I'll tell you what, the title has changed. It's gone from recruitment to, it's changed so much, but essentially we are the frontliners. We are the ones that recruit for all of the positions that you see that people report to every day. We are the ones that do all of that hiring. And so essentially my role is just that. It's recruiting for different types of modalities and different types of healthcare positions within hospitals and within our sites, our clinical sites, and so on and so forth. And so you've got human resources. It's kind of like, I would say, almost like a governing body in a sense that there's other senior leadership, but then you have human resources. You've got the benefits aspect of human resources. You have colleague relations, as far as human resources goes. You have, there's just so many different areas of expertise within human resources and talent acquisition as a whole. In talent acquisition, you have your recruiter aspect, you have your sourcing aspect. Now we have a sourcing team that actually assists us in looking for different hard to fill positions from a national perspective. So there's just a lot of different pockets within human resources as well as talent acquisition now. So essentially a day in my job consists of me looking at my open positions, seeing who applied, qualifying those candidates, and then, looking to hire those candidates. So
what does that word sourcing mean?
Sourcing is literally just you going through and doing that. You're looking through different websites and you're looking through different sites to find passive candidates to see if they are interested.
Okay. So as a talent acquisition, like I said, you're doing some of that recruiting, and there's other roles, like you said, what is the favorite part of your job? What do you love?
I love changing people's financial perspective. That I get to impact that piece of it financially. I get to offer them something more that impacts their life. And so that's the piece that I like. I like to give people a new opportunity, a new chance. I think that's just amazing in and of itself, to be able to impact someone's financial outcome or impact someone's, mental state. Because it's empowering, when you're able to do that for individuals. So that's the main piece that I love.
Yeah, I could see myself really liking that. I think there's a lot about human resources that would fit my personality and interests for sure. What are some of the things that you don't like, Akia?
I would say, in all honesty, right now we're just kind of being inundated, we're opening up, we're shutting down, we're opening up, we're shutting down. And so that has an impact on us because we have to cancel out positions when there's no longer a need, but then we have to, you cancel out 10 and then you get 20 more within the next week. So I think right now, just because of the pandemic, things fluctuate so much. That's probably the thing that I won't say I don't like it, but it just kind of makes my job a little bit harder at times than others, and then just the level of the amount of work. But that's a part of every job. And so, you pick your battles and you work through it day by day.
Do you have team members that you work with every day, or do you are you at your own desk? Obviously with pandemic, you're probably working from home, but in general, is it a job where you get to work with other people? Is it kind of just you doing your own thing all the time?
Yeah, well, prior to this, we actually had a team of 15 that we worked with. And so we have different, what we call job families. So we have a team lead and another job family where they work with, maybe your BOCs and your offsite clinics. And then we have myself, I lead your entry level positions as well as your non-nursing positions. And then we have a nursing team. So we have about a team of 10. We have 2 team leads right now. And we also have, we have 2 team leads right now. And we also have a regional manager.
I heard you say something about BOC. Did you say that?
Business office coordinator.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's part of my job, is help break down that lingo, because we don't even know what some of those acronyms mean, but this is important clues. This is inside scoop, you guys. So write down that if you're interested. BOCs. I love it. When I think about some of your role too, let's take pandemic out of the equation because hopefully we'll be back to normal. Do you get to travel with your job? Do you, as your source, you're looking for people, maybe not your role, but or some of your team, like if you're looking for physicians and you have to go to other parts of the world?
We get a chance to travel in our job pre-pandemic.
You did?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Well, it was more so just going to like different job fairs and things like that, that were, like even when I would come, Krista, and partner with Ken ISD. So it's more so of like that type of community engagement. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Some students, when they hear you like doing a career fair, that can seem a little overwhelming. How did you first get used to doing those kind of activities? Is that something you get someone to role model to? Like, young people want to know, like, how do you learn that?
Just do it. You just do it. There's really nothing to it. We prepare for it. We have like our little career fair cart, that we set up, and, you just kind of pop out there, you do it, and you just make it where the conversations are just that. When you have different students and, different individuals that come up, you just have a conversation with them and, get to know them just a little bit and just kind of see what they like. I think it's more so of just finding that connection, from in a career event, and just having those conversations. Mm-hmm.
So you definitely have to be a people person if you're out at career fairs meeting hundreds of people.
Absolutely, you do.
And what are some of those? This is one of those little inside scoop things, Akia. When you're at that career fair, help young people who are on this call today. What sets them apart when they come up to your booth? What are you looking for as a talent acquisition expert when you're looking for people to be on your team?
Yeah, so we're essentially looking first and foremost for people that qualify for the job, but then after that, I mean, it's just people who, want to work. You have to have, again, a heart for the people. When you're in healthcare, it's more than just showing up and going home. So, it's having, I always say, like a servant's heart. We look for people that maybe, are they like our mission, vision, and values. And oftentimes we have people that kind of speak to that, and they tell us that really speaks to them, and so I think those are things that we look for, just someone that really has a servant's heart, but really just being you. Like, don't be shy, be you, be you, and hold fast to your own authenticity, being authentic. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed too at those, when people kind of put themselves out, they engage, they don't just expect the person behind the booth to do all the work, when you're offering up, and maybe even practice what we call that little elevator pitch, where you can kind of share something about yourself in just a few seconds to kind of introduce yourself. So young people, maybe we'll do a series on that of prepping you for some of these things. But like you said, Akia, it's just doing it. And I think a lot of young people sometimes worry like they don't know how they're going to learn it. But what we found, which I try to help them understand, is you learn certain things in school, but the rest you just have to do it. And people on the job will be training you. You'll be observing people. How do you think you became good at what you do?
Is by doing it every day, to be honest, and having a passion for it. That's pretty much it. Doing it every day, having a passion for people, wanting to see lives change. I feel like that's kind of innate in me. This is kind of how I've always been.
I think that'd be awesome to be able to kind of be a superhero to people. Like you say, you're literally changing their lives with a paying job, especially if they were maybe unemployed or, and there's so much stress in that, and you get to give good news. Yeah. As part of your job, and I have one question in the chat I'll give you in just a second, but do you ever have to deal with firing people?
I don't. That's colleague labor relations. Thank God. I wouldn't be able to do that.
Yeah. And I think that's what young people, because sometimes when I used to think of HR or human resources, I would think, oh, I don't want to ever fire people. So that made me avoid that whole industry, because that's what I thought it was.
Oh, no.
So are there any other myths any other myths you'd want the young people to know, like, no, this is not what it's about?
No, that's why we call them areas of expertise. So you have just different areas of expertise, which are like our colleague relations. They're the ones that do the firing or the disciplinary action. We don't do that. We're literally just specifically hiring. Or you have your areas of like benefits and individuals that do like FMLA. You've got that area of expertise. There's really lots of different areas of expertise. You have IT now, you have informatics. There's just so much. It's just so much in healthcare now that, lots of options.
Yeah. And I think what I want to point out to the young people is Akia works for a very large organization. So if you go into talent acquisition in a smaller company, you might end up doing a little bit of everything.
Yes, so as a generalist.
As a generalist. So yeah, tell us a little more. Do you have generalists at Mercy Health as well or not?
I actually was a generalist prior to, and I could say that sometimes my work can still be a little bit of a generalist, but yeah, so a generalist is kind of, like she said, doing a little bit of everything. You're doing a little bit of onboarding, you're doing a little bit of recruitment, you're doing a little bit of colleague relations, and that is in smaller organizations. They don't really have the bigger areas of expertise.
Yeah, and that's where I want young people to understand, depending on your personality, you might enjoy a small company versus a big one because you like being the jack of all trades and, having a little hand in lots of things. So just point that out. So do you have to have a 4-year degree to do what you're doing now? One of the young people would like to know.
I have a bachelor's degree. So to do what I'm doing right now, yes.
Okay. And then I'm wondering for students to get some insight, do you ever do job shadows in your department? Do you have internships for college or high school students? Help make a connection if anything they could do if they thought this might be for them.
Yes, we have in the past. We're just not doing it right now because of COVID. But yes,
Sure.
there are internships that you can do through your school.
And is it just for college, Akia, or do they have high school level?
It's for college, but I know our career development center is also in a place where they are able to do like shadowing and things like that as well. Once
so
we get over this hump.
Yeah, it's great. So young people, if that's something you think you might like, the world is continuing to open up and you will have your chance. But that's good to know that Mercy does do that. So Nua would like to know if you have ever associated with, do you ever get to work with other colleagues in similar spaces like at Spectrum Health or Metro? Do you guys ever cross paths? You help each other out? Is it
Not
pretty
really.
competitive?
There's really no need. We all have our own just individual hiring needs. So there's never really like collaborating events, but I mean, we do see each other and we do I always try to speak when I see them at like different career events and ask how things are going. Cause it's always good to see like, what are you guys seeing as far as like, the different areas? Are you guys seeing that your jobs are hard to fill or vice versa? So I think that's, that's something that we do when we see each other, but there's really, we're individual in our own right. We're separate organizations.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe just at those career fairs, like you said, you might start to see the same faces from your colleagues at these other places, but otherwise, yeah, there may not be a need. How does technology impact you? Do you have to learn a lot of software?
Yeah, software is constantly changing. And so you do have to be fluent in, all of like different types of Microsoft area, Microsoft Outlook. And I mean, and we have so many different systems. So you do have to familiarize yourself and be okay with a lot of different types of systems. We have our hiring system. We have our reference system. There's lots of systems.
And is that something, again, can seem overwhelming to young people? Will that be something they're taught on the job, or what could they be doing now to prepare themselves to be a good candidate?
I would just say that to prepare themselves, just be like up to date and like the things that the college is telling you concerning like Microsoft and Excel and things like that. You wouldn't really be able to learn any other systems outside of this.
Because it is customized for Mercy, for example. Yeah. So just young people, you don't have to worry about knowing exactly the software, but the more you can become proficient in those Microsoft Office and Excel. Sometimes high school students really don't do that because you guys are, maybe communicating through texting and stuff, but I want to encourage you there's free classes on the internet to learn Microsoft products, but it's really a great thing to have on your resume when you're thinking about anything in business. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. Soft skills are something that students are taught a lot about, whether it's teamwork, cooperation, being flexible. What are a couple traits that you think are important to do the kind of work you do?
Patience, grace. I'm going to say that. And I don't even know if those are traits. Those are just things you learn over time. I don't like to really say critical thinking critical thinking is a thing, but I always caution myself in saying critical thinking or strategic thinking. And the reason why I say that is because sometimes individuals can arrive at an idea or a solution sooner than others, and other times people just need a little bit more time. So I'm going to say that, but in your own right? So maybe you're not the person that has the idea or the solution right then and there, and that's okay. So just, I would just say on that aspect, maybe thinking outside the box a little bit, kind of being able to navigate through different situations, thinking bigger picture, and not everything's always black and white. I would say that.
Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
We only have 3 minutes, and so I'm going to finish up because I want to share a resource, but obviously you're a very goal-oriented young woman. You moved up the ladder and you're in this role. Do you have your sights set on anything else? Has this been really fulfilling? You see yourself staying here? What are some other opportunities for you as you look at your
I mean,
career?
I think other opportunities for me would be, like a manager role or a director role, executive director, VP. Those are different options. I'm not sure that I want to go that far though.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see what my path, what shows up on my path. But right now, I'm pretty okay with being a team lead. Even though I'm not a manager, I have a lot of managerial responsibilities per se. So.
So it's meeting your needs for now, which is great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great. I'm going to give them a couple of quick resources, Akia, and then I'll let you do a final word of wisdom. But for those of you that are new to our career chats, I wanted to share onetonline.org. This is a fantastic career research tool where you can put in things like human resources, talent acquisition, and you'll get information on what the daily work is like, how much money they make, what kind of schooling you need. Is this a growing field or going away field? All sorts of great career information. So I love ONET. I took a little screenshot. I actually put in human resources into the search engine, and these are all the jobs that are related to it that popped up. So then you can click on them and learn more. So you may, if you look down at the fourth one down, you may not know what a human factor engineer or ergonomist is. This is a great tool to learn because you don't know what you don't know. Again, as you look at this list, these are some of those things that Akia was telling us are specialties. So maybe in training and development as part of her team, or that compensations and benefits as part of that team. So again, this is where you can really start to dig in and look at the differences and what you like and don't like about each of these jobs. And as you see these suns, that means there's a bright outlook. These are growing fields. So that's a great tool to help you dig in a little more. I did click on training development, and as you can see by these blue words, these are all the things that this tool will let you know about. Wages, employment, detailed work activities, related occupations. I love that button. So again, want you just to know there's a tool out there. So thank you, been amazing, Akia. What kind of final word of wisdom as I let you out of here? You've been such a great role model for us.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I would just say never give up. I know it's a different time right now, and we have a lot on us that we're working through just physically and mentally, and maybe even spiritually, but I would just say never give up. Understand and know and be solid and sound in your gifts and talents, and everything else will come. So just hang in there, don't give up, keep pressing towards your goal, and you will be able to accomplish it.
It's very inspiring stuff. And your life has proven that to be the case. So thank you for being here today and making time in your busy day. I really appreciate it.
You're more than welcome, Krista. It's my pleasure.